Good afternoon, and welcome to the 800 Credit Score Man Show. I am your host, Kevin King. He is I, and I am him, the 800 Credit Score Man himself. And again, I want to thank each and every one of you guys for coming in and listening to the 800 Credit Score Man Show every Saturday, 1:30 Central Standard Time. That's every Saturday, 1:30 Central Standard Time, 2:30 on the East Coast. Thank you. Please share this show. Don't keep this show the best kept secret in podcast. Share this show. Of course, we're available on Instagram. I'm available on Instagram, and that's 800 Credit Score Man on Instagram. Facebook page, 800 Credit Score Man on Facebook as well. Twitter, follow me there at Credit Score _Man. I will always follow you back on Twitter. But the show can be heard on Spreaker, Spreaker.com. That's SPREAKER.com. If you're there, please follow me there. You'll get some updates letting you know when the show airs. So follow me on Spreaker. But we're also on iTunes, on Google Play, on Stitcher, and the 800 Credit Score Man Show has its own app. So get to your app store and download the 800 Credit Score Man Show app. You can also go to Spreaker.com. If you're having issues with your app store, you don't know what to do, go to Spreaker.com. When you pull up the 800 Credit Score Man Show there, you'll see in the first page, right on the right-hand side, you'll see two icons. So if you have an iPhone, you click on that icon, and it'll be able to download the app for you there. Or if you're on an Android, you click on that, and it'll be available there as well. So thank you guys for coming in, listening, and sharing this show. Do that. Share this show for sure. Now, what are we going to talk about today? Last week, we discussed the ways that you can positively impact your credit score. 8 positive ways to impact your credit score. So today, it made sense to me that we will follow that up with ways that you can basically screw up your credit. So ways that you can negatively impact your credit score. So we're going to discuss those things today, and I'll give you a few tips on how to avoid those things as well. So that's what we're going to get into today. Now, if you're not a new listener to the show at all, you know how it works. I've got to give shout outs and things of that nature. We're going to have a question of the day as well for the show. So we're going to do all of those things today on the 800 Credit Score Man Show. So the first thing I want to do is shout out this young lady, Kari McElroy. That's my niece, you guys. She turned 8 earlier this week. So happy birthday to you, Kari. Happy birthday. Such a beautiful little young lady. So I wanted to give her a shout out. And I've got to shout this young man out. You know this young man because I mention his name at the end of every show, and that is Kobe. Kobe, my son Kobe, made the Dean's List. So I want to say congratulations to you, Kobe. Keep up the good work. All of your hard work is truly paying off, and he's going to go far. So happy birthday to Kari, and congratulations, Kobe, on making the Dean's List. So let's jump into the things that are going to negatively impact your credit score. Now, frankly, most of you listening know how to do this. You know how to do this perfectly. You know how to do things that's going to negatively impact your credit score. All of us actually do. But we do not have to be stuck there. And it may not be true that a lot of people have bad credit. Maybe it is true that a lot of people have bad credit. But what often happens is that we hear negative news. We hear things that are not positive. And those are the things that kind of stick with us. And so it may seem like that's the overwhelming number of people. And it actually may not be true. However, 47 million people have a credit score below 600. Yes, that's 47 million people. So believe me, you are not alone if you have a credit score under 600. Now, what are we going to do about it? What we're going to do about it is this. You're going to continue to listen to the 800 Credit Score Man Show, and we're going to help you raise your credit scores, which is going to do what? Lower the interest rates that you pay and save you money in the long run. So again, you're not alone. And if you're one of those 47 million people who have a credit score that's lower than 600, who are you going to contact? You're going to contact me, the 800 Credit Score Man. Contact me at 800 creditscoreman@gmail.com. I will gladly help you, guide you along the way to get a better credit score. You can also go to my website, www.creditscoreman.com. www.creditscoreman.com is where you can get to my website as well. So let's jump into this. Last week, of course, we talked about the good things that you can do to help impact your credit score. If you didn't listen to that show, please go back and listen to that show. And this week, let's talk about what's going to negatively impact your show. Now, the first thing actually goes without saying. You've got to pay your bills on time. So if you don't pay your bills on time, it's negatively going to impact your score. Now, when I say pay your bills on time, I'm talking about anything that is on your credit report right now. So if you have a mortgage, if you have a car loan, if you have credit cards, if you have a student loan, those items that end up on your credit report that are on there on a monthly basis, they're updated by the credit bureaus, that's TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian on a monthly basis. Those bills you need to absolutely pay on time. Your cable bill, your cell phone bill, those items are not on your credit report on a monthly basis. It is important for you to pay them and pay them on time so they don't send you to collections, which will then end up on your credit report. You don't want to have that happen at all, okay? So make sure that you pay your bills on time. Now, here's a few tips that I think that will help you to pay your bills on time. So this is what you're going to do. One, the first thing you need to do is save money when you can. So the reason I say about saving money when you can, if you listen to any of those experts that talk about saving money and having an emergency fund, like Susie Orman or Dave Ramsey, any one of those experts, they'll tell you 6 months, 9 months worth of whatever your expenses are. Now, if you can't get to that goal, if you don't see that as possible at all, you got to start somewhere. Like, how do you eat an elephant? You start with the first bite. So you've got to go ahead and start saving money when you can. So saving money when you can be done in several ways. So if you have, a bonus that you get, or when your taxes come, you need to save some of that money and put some of that money aside so you can have additional money. So if there ever is a time where you have more months at the end of your money, then you'll be able to go ahead and maybe draw from those savings and make sure that you pay those bills. Do not be late on your credit cards, on your car loan, things of that nature. Don't be late on those things. So that's what I want you to do. Start saving some money, and start saving even though you think $5 isn't a lot of money, and you don't see how it's going to benefit you in the future. Start with $5 if that's what you can do. If you can start with $100, then definitely start with $100 and save it on a regular basis. Another thing that you can do is to budget. Budget is important for everybody, especially if you live in an expensive area, or you're making minimum wage or just above minimum wage. You need to find a budget. Now, I'm not a budget type person. I've never been one that could follow that budget for any length of time, but I'm going to work on that myself as well. So I want you guys to go out and find a worksheet. There's worksheets out there that'll help you budget. You've got to be honest with yourself. Put down all of the expenses that you have, no matter how big or how small it is. Put down the fact that you go to Starbucks every day. Put down the fact that you might go to McDonald's and get a sweet tea or whatever it is every day. Put those things down so you can actually see how much money you have coming in and how much money you have going out. Get that budget together and then start to work your bills around that budget. A third option for you as well is to don't blow that windfall. So I just talked about, if you get a bonus at work or your tax returns, if you get an insurance settlement, if you get birthday money, oftentimes when we know that money's coming in, we basically spent it before that money even gets in our hands. So if that's the case, you need to make sure that you don't blow that windfall. And when you have a windfall, whether it's your taxes or whatever it is, when you have that windfall, make sure that you stop and you think about what's going to be the best for me in the long run. So paying your bills on time, of course, is something that you got to do. So the first thing that can really screw up your credit is if you don't pay those bills on time. You can't be 30 days late. Make sure that you make those bills. And I think I mentioned this in the previous show. Let's say you did miss a payment. You totally forgot about this particular credit card or what have you. When you get that notice that says, hey, you've missed this payment, pay it right away. Don't wait until the next bill comes to pay it, because that may put you 30 days behind. Don't wait until that's done. When you get that bill and you realize that you missed it and you have the money to pay it, go ahead and pay it right away. Let's go on to the second thing. So the second thing that can negatively impact your credit score is to avoid your creditors. Do not avoid your creditors. I wrote an article that mentioned and talked all about this, and I think the article is called Ignoring Creditors. So, in that article, I said the second worst thing that you can do is to avoid your creditors. And of course, the first thing is what we just mentioned and just talked about, and that is if you don't pay your creditors on time. So make sure that you go ahead and you don't avoid your creditors. Give them a call. So in a nutshell, you don't want to avoid these creditors. Give them a call before they call you. You know that you won't be able to make that payment. You know that the 15th is coming up. It's the 14th. That payment is due tomorrow, and you're not going to make that payment. Call your creditors. See what your options are. There may be options for you. And then also, if you give them a call and let them know that it's not showing up, then maybe you don't have to get that phone call from them. It's very embarrassing to have a creditor call you at work or what have you. Or if you got to get that letter in the mail, you don't want to get that letter in the mail that's pink. And then you get the other letter in the mail and it's yellow. And then the last letter that you get is red because they're trying to collect on you. Don't avoid your creditors. That's something that you absolutely don't want to do. Now, here's another thing that actually can help you avoid some of these things sometimes, and maybe even help you out in the long run. And that is to pay extra monthly. Now, this isn't a negative thing that's going to impact your score, but this is just another tip for you. So pay extra monthly. Now, why do you do that? Now, if it's a revolving credit, and revolving would be like your credit cards, you'll save interest. So you'll save interest if you go ahead and you pay them extra when you get a chance, because you'll, eventually pay that particular credit card off faster if you go ahead and pay extra monthly. So don't just pay your minimum. When you get your credit card statements and you look at it, on the side of that credit card statements, now they're telling you if you pay this $40 a month and it'll tell you how many years that it'll take you to actually pay off that particular account if you don't charge any more money at all. So you have that on there to see. And then it also gives you an option. So in 3 years, you can pay off this debt if you pay this particular amount. So if you can, pay extra monthly when you can. Now, let's say that it's an installment loan. So if it's an installment loan, let's say like for your car or something, if you pay extra on that or even on your mortgage, then it can not only, if you do it this way, especially with the mortgage, if you pay extra on your mortgage, designate that to go to your principal. Make sure that the mortgage company knows that you want that to go to your principal. When you do it that way, it's going to lower the time frame. So if you got a 30-year mortgage, you may be able to pay it off in 28 years, 24 years, or what have you, depending on how much extra you pay to your mortgage. So designated that for that. But what I do, and then I'm going to give you this example right quick. What I do is, say, with my car loan, and I've done this with several car loans, but this one in the past, and I'm going to give you an example. My car loan, I think my payment was like $465. So I would just pay $500 a month. Every month I just pay $500. I didn't designate it to go to principal, so they just applied it whatever way they wanted to apply it. And so every month I would get a statement. So the next month my statement would come and my amount due wasn't $465. It would be less than the $465 because I paid $500 that month. But I did this for several months in a row. And then one time, this me paying extra, one time I was going to be short. I wouldn't have had my $500 that I normally pay, and I wouldn't have had the $465. But my payment that was actually due was like $285. Now I had $285 that I could pay it, and that's what I did. So I just paid the $285, and it kept my account totally current. So of course the next month after that, I would have my normal payment of $465, and I was able to have my money that particular month. So it pays to pay extra monthly if you can. It'll help you in several ways. One, you may pay that account off